This is Jeff Pierce, and you are listening to Me, Myself, and I Radio.
Hey Tribe, welcome back. This is part 2 of my conversation with Jeff Pierce. Be sure to go back and listen to part 1 to see how Jeff's Me, Myself, and I elements got started. Good morning, good afternoon, hip hip hooray. This is Me, Myself, and I Radio, a self-discovery podcast. It's all about being extraordinary under extraordinary circumstances. I'm your host, Anthony Hayes. Welcome to the journey called life. Let's go.
Sometimes in life, things can come across as rather odd or often peculiar, a little like the way that you decide to tune into other radio stations other than ours.
So hard last night, my lids are swollen. Got my guitar, gotta get to a studio. Got a track and I think it's gonna hit, yo. It's been so many years and there's been so many tears, and it's gonna be well worth the pain, see, when all my people line up to see me. Cause I got no money, got no home, got no girl to call my own.
That's so cool, Jeff. Just like a little background on what I'm doing here. I went through the same experience. I mean, you know, I went to school, I did some college. I wasn't the greatest student because I have ADHD. So learning for me was always difficult because my mind is racing so fast that I can't put into words like what is in front of me and what I want to do. And, you know, I'm always thinking about the next thing and yada, yada, yada. So it was the same exact thing for me. I was, you know, writing this, what became a book. Really, it was just like you said, it was notepads and loose leaf pieces of paper, and it later developed into a book. Yeah. And I had to do the same thing. You know, I had to relearn grammar. I had to relearn formatting, you know, and just rediscover these, all these tools that, you know, I did learn. I had to relearn them and then just elevate that to a different level and learn so much about, like you said, the self-publishing process. And, you know, I ended up towards the end, you know, I did hire an editor and, you know, designers and photographers towards the end, but the first whole, I don't know, 80% of this project, I was like deer in the headlights.
Yeah. Well, Anthony, let's look at it this way, you know, and this is a perspective I take on life now. We all go through stages of life and development, and every stage that you go and venture into because of society, we look at it's your age, it's your, you know, you go from a child to a young adult, you go from a young adult to an adult, and then you go from an adult to a senior citizen, and every stage of life, we have to continue to learn and grow. And if you're not continuing to spend that time of self-analysis and self-review, you're going to fall in a trap of conforming to what somebody else's wishes and desires are. And that's why I like the name of your podcast, Me, Myself, and I. And because here's the analysis that most people lose sight of, is that they get in a state of depression or they get in a situation where they're letting outside influences drive what they do with their life.
Yeah.
Okay. And I look at it in my book, I ended up creating a ladder of success. It's got some very basic principles I talk about in my book in regards to mental mindset and goal setting and respect and confidence, teamwork, modeling, and all. But the most important aspect of that ladder of success, and it's true in life, are those guide rails. And the guide rails of everybody's life really come down to two basic concepts, I believe. And it's understanding what your values are, and are you living by them and the rules that you have around them? And what are your beliefs about yourself? And what are the beliefs that others are telling you that you are letting control your life?
Wow.
So
that's heavy.
So my whole focus and concentration is, and believe me, my wife's going through stage 4 colon cancer right now, and there's times that life gets tough, and it is effing tough, and you have to resort back to what are your values and beliefs. How are we going to live our life? I can live, and my wife can live in a state of frustration and turmoil, thinking that I've got stage 4 cancer and I could die in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Or she could live in the state of mind that I'm going to kick this cancer's butt and I'm going to live another 10, 15, 20 years because I have 8 grandkids and hopefully more on the way that I've got to live and be here for.
Bless you guys, man. Bless you guys.
So it's understanding how important your value system is and how important your belief system is within yourself, and not be influenced by what others are trying to do and shift your mindset. And that's why I become a mental performance coach, because it's so important to understand who you yourself and I are, or as your podcast, me, myself, and I are.
Yeah. The funny thing is it's and I think a buddy of mine, Scott Doucette, who he put it very eloquently, and he said, me, myself, and I sound so like self-serving and selfish, but it's actually quite the opposite. And it is. Mm-hmm. It's a little ironic twist on a what could be considered very self-centered, but yeah, it is the opposite. It's a journey. It's your past, present, and future self, as I kind of describe, and that's exactly what we're revisiting with Jeff right here. And listener, if you're just tuning in, I've been actually trying to get Jeff on for a while, and I knew this was going to be great. It was totally worth the wait because he's just killing it with the knowledge on everything that we love to talk about here on the show. And, I'm learning so much. And that's another reason why I have the show, is to learn for myself. And then the things that I learn from, in my discovery process, I can share with you guys out there in listener land. So I hope you guys are really soaking in what Jeff's talking about, because this is all the great stuff, man. All the great stuff.
Well, thanks, Anthony. I know life always throws us curveballs. I'll relate a little bit to sports now, but, we all get thrown those curveballs. You get knocked down, you get tackled, you get beat up. I just interviewed actually a common friend with Charlie Brennan, a UFC fighter. And
I just talked to him the other day. Isn't he great?
Yeah. And he, his fighter's mindset and his system per se that he talks about on my show and on his own broadcast relates to the basics. And it's true in sports. When you get a baseball hitter and they're in a slump, where do they go back to? You go back to your basics.
Back to the basics.
I have a book here on my desk. It's been on my desk for the better part of 8 months. Okay. And it's here as a reminder. And it's Coach John Wooden. Okay. Leadership's game for success, game plan for success.
That sounds really familiar.
And John Wooden looked at the basics. And if you don't know John Wooden, he's all-time NCAA basketball coach for UCLA. He's won 10 straight national championships that will probably never get done again. But he didn't teach his guys how to win, his players. He didn't coach them how to win. He coached them how to be great people. He taught them the basics. It was as simple as understanding how to put your shoes and socks on. It's understanding the simple parts of life and the simple parts of the game. The wins will come if you understand and stay to the basics. And it's true in life.
Yeah.
Anytime anybody is having a struggle in any aspect of life, whether it's your relationship with your wife, a girlfriend, a boyfriend, it's your career, it's finances, whatever it is, always go back to the basics and dig yourself back up. Climb that mountain again.
Hit the restart button.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that. I'm a firm believer in that. I'm in leadership at my my full-time job, and I work with most of the guys are younger than myself. So I look at this as an opportunity to kind of teach them all my screw ups, and so they don't make the same ones. And, I could teach them how to do the job and, the very robotic fundamentals of what we're doing and the work, and you do this and then you do that. But I find a lot of the guidance they need is more of something within themselves that they're missing, whether it be confidence or, a passion, and just trying to subtly weave these into our daily lessons. I found, especially recently, as I've been growing as a leader, I found this definitely relatable to what I'm doing. I'm gonna get that link for that book as well as your own. Also, we're gonna put that on the show notes and everything, because Jeff's already given you guys 2 resources, and that's one of the questions that we always like to ask our guests. So he's already gotten 2. I'm sure he's got another one in his back pocket. We're gonna have links to all that and more in the show notes and stuff like that. So if you guys are just drifted off because you're doing I love the statistics when they talk about podcasting. It's like people are listening to podcasts when they're like doing their dishes, or they're taking a walk, they're walking their dog. So if you guys can reconnect here for a second, because we're delving into some heavy stuff here with Jeff today, and it's been totally wicked. But so we're cruising right along. Actually, we're going backwards in time in Jeff's life. He's telling us a fantastic story of just triumph, and, as he put it, David and Goliath and stuff like that. And I just got to know, Jeff, with all your wisdom and experience and stuff, when did this all start for you? Was this would you say that a lot of this was instilled in you as a child, or how was that like growing up for you? Where does this all play into the big picture of the Jeff we know today?
Well, I think a lot of it, Anthony, is that, I was bullied before it was even called bullying. As I said, I'm 60 this year, and got back on a wrestling mat at 50, and it was a lot of self-discovery at that time. I think that match actually changed my life and the direction of my life, because I was bullied as a child. My dad walked out on us kids and my mother when I believe I was in 3rd grade, and took every dollar the family had and just disappeared for a total of 4 months, and left a lasting impression on me. And needless to say, within a short time after he actually come back, I had found myself being whipped by a bullwhip, and then being moving around. I went to 10 schools and 7 schools my last 5 years. And so I was always that tall, skinny kid with the Coke bottle glasses. I had a speech impediment growing up. So I was always fighting adversity. So when I was out on my own, and my dad had another mental breakdown the year I graduated from high school, and this time it was the departure from my in separation with my dad was kind of permanent at that point. And I was actually the one that had to throw him out of the house when he threatened to kill my sisters and my mother. So I had a rough childhood. And at that point, there was no other male figure in my life. And I had to learn to grow up real fast. And I started my first business at 23 years old. and turned it within 5 years into a very successful custom home building business. But like I said, about 10 years in, I lost it all. And it took a lot for me to claim bankruptcy. I went through it for 2-3 years, fighting that mental, because
I could only imagine.
I didn't feel it was a personal, that I wanted to take that personally and put my personal debt in it, but I had accumulated so much personal debt because of it. But when I finally conceded to my wife's, pushing me to talk to a lawyer, and the lawyer pushing her to push me to claim bankruptcy, I didn't put an ounce of personal debt in it, even though I had accumulated a lot, okay, because it was my pride. And that is one thing, is pride and integrity are two big values to me that I live by. And I think that is what helped shape me to where I am today. At that time of that bankruptcy, I got deep into personal development. Tony Robbins' personal power tapes helped me gain my sanity back. I've volunteered at his events. I've walked the firewalk.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Well, that could be another awesome resource. Tony Robbins, definitely, guys out there, if you're listening.
Yeah, I think I walked the first time like 4 or 5 times because I was crewing it. My wife thought it was all a joke and couldn't believe it was real. And so the following year, I took her to an event. She was instantly bitten by Tony's bug, and we joined Mastery University. So we've been to, Fiji. We've climbed the poles. My wife has a knee replacement and feet problems, and she was a go-getter and still went out and you push yourself. And that's the thing that I have seen as a common thread in my podcast with all the successful professional athletes, Olympians that I've interviewed. It's having a phenomenal work ethic and a belief and value system that gets them to that level. So for any of your listeners, anybody that's wanting to get to that next level in life, in any aspect of their life, whether it's relationships, career, or finances, you got to go after it. Nobody's going to hand it to you on a silver platter. If you want it, go work for it, and the rewards will come.
Definitely keep pressing forward. Jeff, this has been an incredible story. It was such a pleasure here to be on with you today. You dropped some resources on us. You told us a great tale of overcoming obstacles in your own life and adversities and how you got through it. I think everybody's going to really soak this in. I've got so many quotes I have to pull from this that I'm going to include, because you're just such a wealth of knowledge and such a wonderful man. And just so we can just put a bow on this thing, I know this is going to be good. Our last takeaway for the listeners is, what would you tell your 21-year-old self? I know this is going to be good.
Well, my only son is 24, and when he turned 18, I sent him, a pretty intense letter. Okay. And basically, be true to who you are. If you want it, go get it, work hard, but be true to yourself and live in a state of gratitude that everything that is before you is there for a reason. And it doesn't matter what it is in life. We are all going to climb a mountain, and at some point up that mountain, there's going to be a boulder in our way. And you got to figure out, are you going to climb over it? You going to go around it? How are you going to, overcome that challenge? Because when you get through that one, around it, or over it, guess what? 5 years down the road, 2 years down the road, or in 20 years, you're going to have another obstacle in your life. And you have to continue the journey of self-discovering and understanding what it is within yourself that's going to help you get to that top. And as one of the very first personal development programs I went to, the first speaker made this statement, and I use this so often because it's so true about life. What do you want written on your tombstone? And I relate that so many times to my kids and my grandkids. Just like every youth out there, they are always on self-discovery mode. They are always being pushed, pulled, or stampled by peers and by others. So it's helping people understand what are their true values and beliefs and live by them. Understand them, live by them, find your passion in life, and go get it. And as John Wooden said, make today your best day ever.
Wow. Man, Jeff just slayed this, guys. I cannot wait to go back and listen to this and edit it and just soak in all this knowledge, because it was way too much for one pass through. I suggest you guys do the same. And, as always, at the end of every show, well, actually, we kind of got to find out where to find you, Jeff. So before we close out the show, why don't you tell the listeners where they can find you, your website, and your information?
Well, my website is sportswealthinc.com. But, welcome to invite you to join, us on Sports Wealth Inc. My podcast is Sports Wealth Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever, and I'll pass on that link to you, Anthony.
Cool, yeah, definitely.
And my email is real simple, Jeff@Sports Wealth Inc. And you can find me on Facebook. I have a Facebook page, Sports Wealth, and my personal page, Jeff Pierce.
Awesome. Yeah, we're gonna gather up all that information. We'll get that right in everybody's inbox, outbox, blog post, and just in all over me, myself, and ourradio.com, so you guys can connect with Jeff, because he's just a wealth of knowledge. And as always, at the end of every show, Tribe, we like to urge you guys to control the controllable. As for the rest, keep on flowing and just be. This has been me, myself, and our radio, here with my wonderful guest today, Jeff Pierce. Jeff, thanks so much.
Thank you, Anthony. I really enjoyed it.
Tell me what to do. I mean,